it's okay. It doesn't need to stay like that. So absolutely, there's always, it's like the day after night, light after dark, is always something that's going to come that's going to be better.
Do it!
Doing something amazing, then you
go.
forget. There you go, we're recording.
Mind-blowing technology.
I know, my phone's too old.
So,
embarrassing. Hello, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Nice to actually talk to you properly for once.
I know.
Yeah.
It was really nice to get such a good response when I was like,
yeah,
oh, I hope it's not tumbleweed.
You certainly didn't get tumbleweeds.
No,
Everybody
it's been
jumped at the chance
lovely.
to speak
Yeah,
to
I
you.
think I've got 5 booked in, and then I've got about 3 more people that I'm speaking to. And then one person was like, "Can you do June?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Really?
Advanced bookings.
I know. I was like, yeah, but that seems a long way away.
Great. So, getting an episode recorded today for my podcast.
Tell me about your podcast then.
Yeah, sorry?
Tell me a bit about your podcast then.
My podcast. Okay, so my podcast is under the name Coach Bex, which those that I work with know me as.
Yeah.
My civilian name is Mark Beckham.
Yeah.
So I live by the principle of strong body, strong mind, and strong character.
Nice.
And that's what I try to encourage in others, to work on the body, to work on the mind, and to actually work on themselves, do some deep work, and covering all those 3 bases to allow them to live a more fulfilling and more successful, more joyful life. That's what I stand by.
Oh, I like that a lot.
And I think that's very much why you resonated with me. I think we may have been following each other for 3 to 4 years now.
I think so. I see your name quite often pop up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice when you see the same people.
I've been following you since I know your story. You left the corporate world. You started a gym. You left the gym because it was not your real heart's work.
No.
And now you work with ladies to help them, high-performing ladies, get back in touch with themselves.
Yeah.
Again, to lead a more fulfilling life. And that's really why I reached out to you, to get you onto the podcast, because I love what you do. And I think a lot of women will benefit from that.
Oh, thank you very much. Oh, it's lovely when you actually put like a face and a voice to a name rather than just popping up. So yeah, I was
this
really
rough, Geordie. Can you understand everything I'm saying?
No, I love it. I love an accent. Yeah, definitely.
From everywhere else.
Cornwall, so I'm surrounded by Cornishness. So yeah, pumpkins and tractors and carrots and all that stuff.
Well, I come from the deep kind of countries. My dad lives on a farm, a non-working farm, so I'm used to that kind of thing. So today, really, I'm just going to call the episode "Know Yourself to Grow Yourself."
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and how your success and how a fulfilling life is fully dependent on you being self-aware, getting in touch with the real you.
Yeah.
Tips and tactics that you can do, practices you can do to help you really get in touch with yourself, to know the real you. So.
Yeah.
This is your forte. This is what you do. So
that's what I love.
Yeah. Can you shed a little bit of light about what you do with the ladies that you work with?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Nicola Buckley, and I work with women who are leaders and innovators and high achievers. I help them to know, love, and be themselves, so that they know that they're enough, so they live a happier, more fulfilled life. So they are in the stuck in 6th gear. They've got a very hectic diary. They have a demanding career, have a busy home life, and they've done so much and they've achieved so much. Yet they're not really feeling happy, and they're not really feeling fulfilled. So they're continually searching for the thing that will bring that to them. So that they're looking at that through their career. They're looking through that through their family. They're looking for that through the next qualification, and always looking forward to the next thing.
So always looking externally as well.
Externally and always
within.
Forward. So it's very much living what I call a should life instead of a feel good life. And that should life externally looks brilliant, but having been there and still some days can be there, it's not that great. It's almost like you feel a bit of a fake, you feel a bit of a fraud, an imposter. You feel frustrated that you have so much yet you don't feel it, you don't connect with it. And I help them with 2 things. So my my coaching is based in head and heart science, which you probably haven't heard of before. So the head part, I help them to understand the mysteries of the female brain, which is a mystery to us women, let alone you guys. So
definitely a mystery.
I help them understand through something called noggin knowledge. I help them to understand and explain their emotions through logic. So what is going on when I comfy? What is going on when I'm really hard on myself? What's going on when I self-sabotage? And because we're very logical, helps them to understand that process. The second part then is the heart part, which is really and truly, like you said, rather than living externally for everyone else, it's bringing them back to who they are and what they want. So what feels good for them, what are their passions, what do they get excited about, what turns them off, what do they not want in their world, and start living by what I call their cup of tea voice. So the cup of tea voice is your feelings speaking, and that's when you're speaking from your heart. So if you sat here with me now and actually sat next to me and I said to you, what do you want to drink, you would know immediately. So this is why I call it the cup of tea voice, and it's almost nurturing and developing that same voice. And do you think it's through like conditioning and external influences that is it a matter of these ladies, or men for that matter, putting others first before them? It's the pitting the living externally and the pitting everyone else before yourself, that comes down to a lack of knowing yourself. So it's almost, if you think of it, it's almost like a gap. That gap of knowing yourself is so fundamental to how you live your life, that it means there's symptoms of not being enough and not knowing yourself. And those symptoms are the things that so many of us struggle with around overwhelm, procrastination, comfort eating, self-sabotage, feeling like an imposter, feeling like a fraud, always on, busy, indecisive,
but not actually getting anything done.
People
is it
pleasing.
Busyness is a distraction, or busyness is productivity.
So what I do is help these women and very much help them create a beating heart of who they are, and that's through 5 layers of self-identity, and that fills that gap. So that means that they're then looking internally and listening for what they want and feeling what feels good for them, rather than necessarily always everyone else first, which is exhausting, which means that you wake up at the age of say 40ish and you're like, shit, this is a great life, but I'm not in this. I don't feel it. I have financial security, I have the family, the house, the career, but I just don't feel it. And it's actually really sad to see, because many women come to me now and they're not only struggling, they're signed off work with stress and anxiety. They've been prescribed antidepressants, they've been referred on to counsellors and CBT practitioners. And it's sad. It's almost like, how bad does it need to get before you realise that actually you have all the answers, and you can keep going through this circle of listening to everyone else, so you can actually come back to who you are. And
it's
really
kind of like
yourself.
It's kind of like why the self-help industry is doing so well. They sell a bunch of these books that you just take on board, you read it and do nothing with.
And then that becomes another thing to beat yourself up with. So the self-help, I think there's so much good intention and so much good in it. That's great. But self-help is it's kind of reliance on you still. And also if you're trying to get yourself out of your own shit, it's really difficult. Like I'm not the best coach for myself. I'm a great coach, I know that. Not for myself. So the self-help, it doesn't necessarily make you challenge or confront those stories or those beliefs or the actuality of what's going on. And also it gets swept up in day-to-day life, whereas an investment in a coach like me, it's an investment of time, money and effort. Therefore you will honor that investment, in which case you're honoring yourself. And I don't get me wrong, I've got a lot of time and respect for the self-help industry. But actually there's got to be a point in which someone puts their hand up and says that I need some help with this, and there's no shame in that at all. It's a really courageous thing to do, to say I can't do this anymore, and ask for help.
It's huge. I think self-help is great if you don't become one of those serial self-help readers and not put anything into practice. However, if self-help leads to self-exploration, where you can, get and become real with yourself and maybe answer some questions, and take some action and actually do some of the activities. Because I've bought these books before, read them, dived in and pinched a few quotes and not actually put anything to work. So great again with what you do, having that accountability factor with the ladies and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's effectively, it's always their journey, it's their story, but I'm the one that can guide them through and lead them through. And coaching starts with support, but coaching very much then leads on to, it can lead into challenge, it can lead into confront, and that those are kind of further down the line. So it always starts with support, then it would be into questioning, then it would be into challenge, and it would be into confront. And that's all from, I'm increasingly comfortable with all of that. It might sound uncomfortable, but because it's from a place of love and it's with good intent, because I want the best for them and I want to honor their investment they've made in themselves and the trust that they've placed in me. So sometimes these conversations will be squirmy, sometimes they will be a bit uncomfortable, but that's got to be part of the journey. The diamond's often in the rough. We have to wade through our own shit to find the places that we grow from and we become more from. And it's uncomfortable, which is why self-help is almost a bit of a, I'm doing something, but I'm not necessarily facing into it completely. I'm not making sweeping generalizations. That's just kind of how I found it for myself. And the practical application of something, and when it becomes useful to me and valid and it makes big shifts, that's when something then becomes part of what I do and what I teach and what I coach with my own interpretation on it.
It's really that kind of cutting through the bravado and the lies that you tell yourself for so long. I know a massive turning point for me was when you know, you spend a little bit of time alone and you just say like, look, Mark, cut the bullshit, like really get down to it. Why do these things repeatedly keep on happening? Oh, it's this person, it's that person, it's this circumstance. And it's like, well, if it kind of keeps on happening, there's a common denominator, and it's your beliefs and your habits and things which are leading you to this place continually.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's almost like, if you imagine, so obviously you've got your glasses on. I normally wear glasses, I'm not sure they are right this second, but your lens of how you see the world, your lens, or your glasses, if you like, will be different to my lens. It'll be a different strength, a different prescription. We need slightly different things, but it's almost like the way that we see the world is different to anyone else. It's uniquely made up of our experiences, our stories, the things that we've been through. So it's almost one of my very early coaches, he's talked about this analogy of, if you sat down in front of a table and you and your friend were there, and just imagine if one person as a spider then appears on the table. So for one person, that spider is man-eating, it's going to sting them to death, it's going to be horrific and take over the world. They just don't like spiders. That's their lens of that situation. The other person sits there and thinks, it's just a spider, goes over to the table, picks it up, puts it outside. And
I'm that guy.
It's the same scenario, but the two perspectives are completely different. So if you think about effectively our life is based on how we see the world. Our life is based on what we interpret and our stories and our beliefs. And it's this huge internal framework that's all stored within our brain, that there's a trigger and reaction. Unless we start to become conscious and aware, everything just plays out from those old stories and beliefs. So the first parts of where self-help is brilliant is it does get you to start with that self-awareness, and that's what's going on for me, and questioning and all those sort of things. So it's not just accepting that's how I think, or that's how I feel about it. It's just like, well, why do I feel like that? Where does that come from? Is that my belief? Is that someone else's belief? Is that my parents' belief? Is this story serving me? Does it feel good? Does it not feel good? And it's that it is work to kind of continually challenge how you think, but you go back to the same scenario over time, that you can be the person that just isn't scared of spiders just through questioning and belief work and stories. And you apply that more widely to your life. You make the investment to focus on yourself and work on yourself. It just changes your whole world.
Yeah, so you can, so by doing it in one small area, like you say, the spider, I've done it with heights,
Yeah.
then you can apply it to any area.
Yeah.
It's just a
So
matter of,
the spider was just a scenario. So don't get me wrong, I'm not like a fear buster. I wouldn't be like,
yeah,
yeah, but the scenario is like you change your perspective, you change how
yeah,
you see the world.
yeah,
So the way that I teach and coach is that I help clients build their self-identity kind of inside out. So we
yeah,
create this beating heart of who we are through who they are through 5 different layers. So the first layer is values, which is the very
yeah,
center of this beating heart. So what are the 3 values you want to live by? How do you want to show up in the world? What do you want to be known for? And those values become like the very core of who they are. They run decisions through it. They lead with
yeah,
it. It's like, am
yeah,
I aligned with them? Am I close to them? Am I further away?
yeah,
That's number 1. Number 2 is then beliefs, because if values are our compass, guiding us to where we want to be, beliefs are our map. So
yeah, yeah,
if you've not got the life that you want, there will be some beliefs there that aren't serving you. And
yeah,
there's a 10-step process that I teach and coach my clients through to really look at and analyze their beliefs, to make sure that they're serving them, to make sure um, that they're going to help them to get to where they want to be, and also how
yeah,
to change them, how to create new beliefs. Then the third layer is looking at their story. So what's your story today? Do you accept it? Do you see yourself as a victim or the heroine? What are the things that you've learned, your biggest lessons? Where maybe are you kind of arguing with your story?
yeah,
Then we're into language. So making sure that your language reflects how you want to live your life.
yeah,
And then finally into magic. So magic is the thing that you do in only the way that you can do it, that has a big impact on people.
yeah.
And that,
Your gift,
yeah, exactly, your
your
gift. I
shining
love that.
light that took a
Yeah,
let
your
out.
gift or
Yeah,
your light or your magic. I call it magic just because I love magic. I
you
think
love
there
magic.
should be more magic in the world, right?
There should be more
Everyone
magic in
loves
the world.
Harry
I love
Potter,
it.
so,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everyone does
yeah,
have magic. And all
yeah,
those 5, almost like layers, they build out into this beating heart of,
yeah,
of self-identity,
yeah,
so that these women get to truly and deeply know themselves. And
yeah,
out of that comes confidence, out of that comes belief and trust, um,
yeah,
pacing, being kinder to themselves, um, listening more to what they want rather than others, feeling less like an imposter. It's very difficult to not feel like a fraud if you don't know who you are, because you are going to be kind of in the act of being you rather than being you, if that makes sense.
yeah. And you can't really lie to yourself on a deep level.
No.
You know, you can try and cover it up and mask things over, but you inside of your own head know when things are off.
Yeah,
You just know.
absolutely.
Speaking personally, like,
Mm,
I knew when I was younger, living a life,
yeah,
hanging around with certain friends, doing things that weren't really great,
yeah,
and you just know it's like you feel awful.
yeah,
And that was for me. It was probably about the age of 19 or 20, and I just decided, no, that's enough. That's it. Dropped the friends, moved away,
yeah,
and life started to change from that point then in.
yeah,
Um, and there really is this thing, I think, when you do get to the bare bones of who you are, and you take off the mask, you stop trying to please other people and embrace your uniqueness,
yeah.
good things actually start to happen.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think we're so scared. It's a very, so just the noggin knowledge around kind of why you want to fit in, and why do we live, put everyone else first. But it's part of the brain that is the mammalian part of the brain, is right in the center of the head here. It's the second part of our brain to evolve. It's from when we were in caves and we like to group together because that's how we stayed safe in that
Safety,
dangerous time.
security, and
So, and that part of the brain is more developed in women. So a big difference between men and women. Men are more animal brain led, women are more mammalian brain led. So that means women are hardwired to care more about what other people think of them. So the he said, the she said, the I think, or my favorite, I think they think.
yeah, yeah,
We just naturally tend to be just worry more about what other people think of us, and it is natural, it's inherent within all of us. But the
yeah,
key part is really to start to make the shift away from everything being external, so listening more to other people's opinions, being easily led, taking asking for approval or permission, and it's really about, it's not that you're going to just forget about everyone else, but it's more about switching the balance. So it's more led by you, and it's got to be led by the feelings. Feelings are feedback. Feelings are there for a reason.
Yeah.
And if we ignore them, they can get bigger and quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
So they're there for a reason. They're there to show us something and to guide us to what we most need and the lesson that we need to take from whatever's going on.
Yeah.
But we've been very much taught in this society to just hide our feelings. And just, imagine when you were little and you fell over and grazed your knee, and mum's like, oh no, don't worry, it doesn't hurt, you'll be okay, and distract you maybe with some sweets or something like that. And it's like, actually,
but it stings like hell.
Yeah, it just fucking hurts, right? It's just, that's okay. Just, that's your lesson. Just don't, be more careful with yourself.
Yeah.
Rather than distraction, a bit of a bribe, and just through our whole lives, as a woman in corporate world, I was told that I was over emotional. I was told, I was assertive, aggressive at times. And that was like, well, I feel passion for this thing. Or just, not unstable, but I don't know what I'm going to get with you. Highs and lows. And it's like, actually, it's how I feel.
Yeah. Well, everything's highs and lows. Everything's dark and light. Everything's up and down.
No contrast without that, right? So
100%. Yeah. So what could be one big takeaway, mega super tip that you could give to all the ladies today?
Just ask yourself every single day and write it down. How do I feel? Which sounds overly simplistic, but if you're a lady with a lot going on and you're very busy, it's likely that you're quite disconnected from yourself. You probably don't really know what's going on. You don't feel like you've got time. Right? It sounds like the simplest thing in the world. Just be yourself. Or say it to someone if they're going on a date or if they've got a job interview. Just be yourself. And you're like, well, what the fuck does that mean?
Who am I?
Yeah, what does that actually mean in your day-to-day life? It feels like a scary thing to then, well, who am I? How do I want to show up? Yeah. Whereas I've got a system to help with that. But that starts with connecting back to yourself. And the most simple way that I could ever invite anyone to start with, it's not scary, it's not intimidating, it's just about being consistent and listening. It's just ask yourself every day and write it down. How do I feel today? And it would be like a stream of consciousness. It would be like a dustpan and brush to your brain. And it would just draw out, it would just naturally flow out what's going on. And there's always more behind the thing that you think you're struggling with. The thing is never the thing. There's always something deeper there. The thing is never the thing, And that's a super simple way to get started, to get to know yourself. And it's not going to take over your world. It's not going to be, another expensive self-help program that you kind of start and then life takes over. It's just honoring yourself. If you can't write it down, ask yourself every day, spend 5 minutes thinking about, how do I feel today? What's going on? Oh, I feel a bit anxious. Where might that come from? Why is that? How can I create more certainty if it's about, I don't know, money or work or my relationship?
Yeah. Because there was something interesting I read. What is it? If you only think things, so this is about writing things down. If you only think things, you use the right hemisphere of your brain?
I don't know, actually.
Yeah, I think I may have the sides mixed up. I may be wrong on this, but if you only think something, you use one hemisphere of your brain, which is like the side where you dream and it creates ideas. And
cool.
However, if you pick up a pen and write it down, it's both hemispheres operate together. And this would be the logical side. So not only would you think of an idea, you dream something up. When you write it down, you'll start to consciously and logically create ways in which you can achieve that thing or solve that problem.
That's cool.
So write it down. Cool. Yeah.
Well, how would I describe it? I would describe it as you, rather than just like letting your thoughts play out and the stories and beliefs stay there. When you write down, you process everything twice. So you have to process it to gather the information and kind of to write it. And the second bit is, as you write it, you look at it. And that just becomes then a stark reality of, shit, this is how I feel. Or didn't realize that was there. Or I thought I'd gone past that. Or actually, that's a really positive thing. So as you write something down, it becomes your reality and your truth. So it's almost the bits that you just let play out normally that maybe aren't serving you. They almost shone up in the spotlight. And when they're in the spotlight, it can't just carry on. It's like, actually, is this something that I want to be part of my world and do more of? Or is this something that I don't want this as part of my world anymore?
Yeah.
And the writing down is amazingly powerful because it's effectively, you're processing everything twice. So you're really kind of getting to see what's there. And, you know, is it journaling in the traditional sense? I don't know. It's just, for me, it's just a process of it's just a process of connection. It's a process for getting to know yourself and seeing the truth of how you're thinking and how you're feeling.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So it's been lovely having you on
Thank
today.
you very much for having me.
My pleasure. And this is going to give a lot of value. I just know it.
I'm glad.
And maybe we can do something again in the future.
Yes, I'd love to, absolutely. And if anyone needs any more help, I'm Nicola Buckley on Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on. And then Strong Her You, I've got a free Facebook group where we do kind of challenges and stuff.
Great.
And so just drop me a message.
I'll post links to the podcast.
Yeah.
And if we can retrieve the video, can you retrieve the video if we can do that?
Yeah.
I'll get that up on YouTube and I'll put all your links on there.
Brilliant.
So
Thank you.
all the ladies can find you, and
Brilliant.
You can give them all the knowledge, your noggin
knowledge. But just to say, if you're struggling right now, it's okay. It doesn't need to stay like that. So absolutely, there's always, it's like the day after night, light after dark, is always something that's going to come, that's going to be better. So just trust and being how you are right now, and knowing that it's going to shift for you.
What a way to sign off.
Yeah.
What a way to sign off.
Do it!